Uh, it it may be that this particular scene is drawn from the same pool of inspiration. Possibly. Right now, I'm just fucking around with this. I'm not even getting anything done. Uh, I can't render this now anyway because I'm already rendering something. So I'll set the lights up and whatnot. But basically, and when I render it, well, no, it's not ready yet. What am I thinking? I gotta fix your face. You're not looking at anything. But yeah, when I render this, I plan on rendering it in pretty super high resolution so that you can zoom in on everything. Just flat textures. Uh, that's an idea. I haven't really thought of that. I don't know how I'd go about executing something like that, though. But yeah, that would definitely save a lot of computing space. Um, the other thing, too, that now I'm thinking about it is I could, I mean, I could probably just render a couple of them in the scene and basically just Photoshop them everywhere else. That would take a lot more time, but at least it would save computing power. I don't know. Yeah, I know. These eyes are still kind of big, aren't they? You missed it earlier, but I actually made them smaller when I first started this. So they're actually smaller than they were before. But I guess I can make them a little smaller yet. How about that? Oh, and I mentioned earlier too, I went and updated the figure for you here. Changed some of the facial structure. I made the cheekbones less pronounced. Um, just kind of rounded out the jaw a little bit so that it wasn't so it didn't protrude quite as much. I think it looks better now. So this is Mandy 2.1. There, just kind of a half cocky smile. Not even a full on like evil grin, but just yeah, I'm better than you and I know it. Ooh, now that's a good question, Violet. Um, if I were to estimate how much money I've dumped into this already, oh boy. Um, at this point, after a year, Um, well, I'll put it to you this way: as you spend money at like websites like Renderosity or the Daz website or whatever, they give you render rewards, right? So that's what they call them. Anyway, they're basically money back at the end of the month, depending on how much you spend. And I think you have to spend over a certain amount in order to get anything back. But pretty much every month, I've gotten whatever it is. I don't even remember now. Um, but I want to say the threshold is like 100 or something like that. I don't know exactly. But if I had to guess, like a total amount, it would be well over a grand easily after a year. So, and it kind of leads me to the line of thinking that this really is no longer a hobby. Um, and with me, these kind of things don't really ever stay that way for long. It's it's something more than that now. I guess you could call it an obsession. But I mean, it's like um, any artistic field, they tend to have that effect. At least on me, they do anyway. I don't feel like I want to half-ass any of this. I want to try to do it as best as I can, learn everything about it, that sort of thing. Um, anyway, yeah, I need another toe ring. Let's see. You said it's just a simple band. Something like this should do. Yeah, passion, that's a good word for it. I mean, by no means do you have to spend that much money in order to get good at this. I mean, really, if you think about it realistically, you could do all of this. I mean, you could do simple things, and you could do most scenes without spending that much money. I mean, they give you plenty of stuff to get started with, and if you want to get serious about it, there's plenty there to actually, do almost anything you want to do. Because a lot of it isn't dependent on assets. It's, all that's just flavor. The rest of it is you just sitting down with the program and figuring out how it works and what it does and what you want to get out of it. But I mean, you don't have to spend a grand in order to get good at this. This is all just so I have things to work with. I mean, I guess I don't know how else to put it, but I think you understand what I'm saying. I think it's okay to be just a writer looking for artists, or the other way around, I suppose. It's okay. I mean, collaboration is a good thing, and in any artistic field, collaboration is usually not necessarily required, but I think it can make the final result much more than it could have been if it was just one person. And maybe that's true of everything, but I think certainly in when you're dealing with anything art related, um, I think that's the case. Now, it's certainly easier for somebody who is already a digital artist to write than it is for the other way around, obviously. For someone who's a writer to then have to learn how to do all of the, you know, posing and rendering process and whatnot on top of that. Uh, so you might say those people have somewhat of a disadvantage, but really, I mean, with anything, all it takes is persistence. Because if you don't look at it with any sort of time constraint or any kind of boundaries that you set for yourself, I know this all sounds like inspirational BS, and maybe it is, but it's really true though. You know, you set, whether you know it or not, you set um, like personal roadblocks that basically make you fail before you even fail. And I'm just saying if you want to get serious about it, not just as a general person. And I understand, you know, formal training can go a long way towards um, you know, progress for any artistic field as well. But there certainly with music, there are plenty of people who haven't had formal training who are fine. I mean, they get by just as well. And I mean, personally, I did have formal training. I did go to school for that. But in when it comes to digital art, though, I didn't have anybody teach me how to use DAZ. I didn't have anybody teach me how to use Photoshop. This is all just completely figuring out how things work on my own. And luckily, with the internet, you know, you can look shit up when you need it. But there's not there's not any sort of like um, you know, hand holding or like direct instruction. It's all trial and error, which is not recommended, but if that's what you got to do, then that's what you got to do. If it takes, you know, budgeting out a few hours to work on stuff, if that works, then I guess, I mean, you can always do that. Um, but just like speaking personally, as far as music goes and as far as art goes, this stuff, it's not just from it was never from a standpoint of having to make time for it, because I'm pretty much doing it every chance I can. You know, it's something that I want to do all the time. So, you know, when I'm not doing other things, my time is spent doing that. Um, and on top of that, there's a saying that a friend of mine has that probably he didn't come up with, but it goes like, if there's something that you want in life, you will find a way to make it happen if you want it. And I know that sounds very, at the risk of igniting anything, I know it sounds very Republican to say that, which I am not personally uh, part of, that whole idealism. But I do kind of think that's true. If there's something that you want, you'll find a way to make it happen. Anyway, you didn't come here to listen to me ramble on about life lessons and other stupid horseshit. So, I'll just finish this up now. Like I said, I can't